It is the #1 seed in this entire play-in process. For Bread, an opportunity to play their way into the rival series through the upper bracket. And for Compadres, a chance to spring their second consecutive upset, James.
Yeah, and Compadres, I mean, you look at this roster, you can't count these guys out. Moses, he has been a veteran of RLCS for a very, very long time. World Championship appearances. He's now trying to make his comeback here. You can't count these guys out. Astro also, he was with Sathu when they qualified and played against G2 in the Universal Open Finals. So this is going to be a fun match to watch, Stacks.
Yeah, as mentioned, yes, there is technically some RLCS experience on both of these rosters, and being technically correct is the best kind of correct, but yes.
I mean, technically, Moses was a starter, and he has experienced some great success, so we can't count these guys out.
Yeah, the story of Moses, of course, very fascinating because you've always felt like he's never really reached his full potential, and maybe his best days are still ahead of him, but he's been around in the scene for so long, getting another opportunity now with a team that I think you could really call his team now in this Rival Series qualifier, but it's Sypical who's going to take over and score first.
And Gilly mentioned that article about Sypical, talking about how he is an up-and-coming player, and this shot, he just sees Astro in the net, so he shoots it high, wonderfully placed. Sypical getting his team the early lead.
Sypical really drawing a lot of comparisons, maybe unfair, it's very, very early, but a very young player, just turning 15, being able to even sign up for an RLCS or Rival Series qualifier for the first time. And he has already made an impact in the first minute of this play-in match, trying to take out Astro there. He's done maybe just enough to buy Sathu some time to come up and score again.
And the #1 seed wasting no time. Sypical trying to get physical in net, but AXB drops it under Astro, but just in front of Moses. Sathu comes in to finish that one off, and Bread looking very polished at the start of this game.
And Sypical on this kickoff wins it about as clean as you can, and Aeon will have to scramble back. Did not have any pressure from Bread, but you know that if they've backed off, it's coming sooner rather than later. Sypical over to Sathu, and it's blocked away. That looked like Astro, who just barely got in front for the save. But here comes the ball yet again. AXB, again off the crossbar, not able to get above the ball for a shot. And that's a missed opportunity for Bread, one of very few so far.
Like you said, a missed opportunity. That net was wide open, a shot just too hard and high. But Bread, they are still controlling the pace of this game. They have been in the blue half pretty much the entirety of the game. Compadres, they have not been able to get anything at all going.
AXB kicking one out for Sypical towards Sathu, but Sathu realizing he didn't have a play and very wisely makes his way back so he can make a save like that.
Yes, he was in a tough spot. Coming off the backboard there, managed to get that save, and now a miss for Moses. That could have been bad had AXB called him out on that. But still, Compadres starting to get some opportunities.
Well, that really was the best opportunity so far for Compadres, and Moses not able to get this under the crossbar, and it's back on the blue side of the field. And we have seen this already plenty of times. We've seen it twice, that the higher seed, the favorite, has really come out gunning in the first game, and they've just taken the game over right from the start. Then as the series goes on, the adjustments are made, and you wonder if that's going to happen a little sooner, perhaps, for the Compadres.
You know, I think I'm with Gilly and with Subi on the desk when they talked about Bread being the #1 seed and really deserving that seed. These guys, I honestly think it's up to Compadres to prove us wrong. Bread has been so strong, earning that seed, and even in game 1, just giving Compadres no chances whatsoever, shutting everything down at the midfield. And even when the chances did come out for Compadres, we saw the defensive plays from Sathu off the backboard. Bread is just looking good.
AXB, a little soft shot, trying to sneak a changeup past Astro, but he makes the save. Now he can spring Moses downfield. Astro didn't get exactly what he wanted out of that ball around the corner, but Moses is still in front, and Sypical, with not a lot to work with, does barely climb up for the save. Another chance, Astro, that's gonna be blocked away by AXB. Got a little help from behind as well. but more pressure from Compadres, and this is exactly what they need. They haven't scored yet, but they're at least relieving the pressure on the defensive end.
And then we see Sathiu trying to flick that ball out. Now it's still pressure. A good bounce for them. AXB couldn't read it. That is exactly what Compadres needed. This bounce was a godsend for them. Astro making it pop up and high. AXB didn't have enough boost to go for it. Stuck in no man's land. Aeon just finishes that one off. And despite Bread controlling the pace of this game so far, Compadres now within 1.
And Aeon, we've seen so many times that ball rolling up the back wall like that. When it hits that ramp, it can really play tricks on you mentally. Aeon, perfect read. And another perfect read this time from Astro, just getting in the way of a shot from point-blank range. Now it's Aeon for Moses to tie, and he has!
Moses splitting the defense with a zinger. Look at this one. Aeon over to him, and then he just hits it right off the hood so blisteringly fast, and we have a tie game.
Final minute of game number 1, and at long last we have a first game that is not one-sided. The last minute has been all Moses as the Compadres have taken over.
You don't see many kickoff goals in threes, but that right there coming at a critical time for Compadres. Moses starting to show us his veteran experience, and Compadres, it did not look good for them at the start of the game, but they have really started to come into their own.
Yeah, enough talk about how Bread is number 1 and they're the best and all that. Compadres have punched him right in the mouth, and I think Bread are still trying to pick themselves up off the mat. Sypical looking to get a double touch, and he has! What a game!
Sypical with the double tap to tie it up. Look at this play. Flips upside down, chases it down, air rolls it, touches it with those front tires. And that was a spectacular finish and such a big moment. 3-3 with 33 seconds left on the clock. What a play by Sypical.
A rookie with ice in his veins. Sounds familiar. Astro gives one right to Sathiu. AXB lurking. He's got to rotate back though. And he will with a full tank of boost to try and slow things down and reset for Bread. Astro over to Aeon, and another good touch that time from Aeon, really mastering that ramp on the wall. Big pop for Astro, not able to get any further downfield. Overtime is looming unless we have a 0-second goal, and we do not. We'll have golden goal in the opener.
You know, this is shaped up to be a Sypical versus Moses battle. We'll see who comes out on top. This overtime game so big, and as I said it, Sypical comes through for Bread.
A hat trick for Sypical. What a way to make an impact in your first game on an RLCS stream. And he has Bread 2 wins away now from playing their way into the rival series.
And that was a banger there. He timed that shot perfectly, letting the ball bounce so he could get maximum power, and then he shoots it low. Moses was in net. He was there to position to make that save, but it was just so powerful. Moses had no hope. So a breakout performance by Sypical, really starting to prove to us that he belongs on the list of wonder kids that we've talked about over the course of the RLCS seasons. I mean, Sypical, it kind of it feels a little similar back to when Justin was starting to break onto the scene. Everyone was like, have you heard of this Justin guy playing on Out of Style? He's insane. You know, we heard similar things even with Scrubkilla, a little bit different for him. He's been a legend in the scene, but we've had young players come out of nowhere and really make statements, and it has been Sypical so far in this game really stepping up to the plate.
Yeah, and really, it's not just us making comparisons to Justin. There are other players in this bracket that have made that comparison. Roldes has said that, Justin is a player that Sypical looks up to. And again, they're the same age. They've got about the same competitive experience, just Justin was able to play in a LAN. It was a pretty high-profile LAN.
And you can see, you see how quickly players like this can rise. And that's one thing that's amazing about the Rival Series and the Championship Series format. If you show up to today and prove yourself and get into the rival series, who knows where you're going to be next season. We saw Justin do the exact same thing, qualify for the rival series. Then he actually qualified for the RLCS before making a roster change. But it just goes to show you how quickly players who put in the time, put in the work and the dedication can rise up to the upper echelon of Rocket League esports. So Sypical in game one, looking very good. A hat trick, like you said, in a very big game. I mean, those game ones, especially overtimes, getting overtime wins just mentally feels like such a boon.
Yeah, and of course, Sathu talking to Octane a while back saying, Sypical's a guy that you can't give time and space to. And to Compadres' credit, they didn't give him a lot of time and space. He just made the most of what he had.
Exactly. There was such a tight time period for him to take advantage of those shots. He got there so quick and just put amazing shots on net. And that reminds you of Justin. Justin is a type of player who can do that exact same thing. No matter where he is, what position he's in, if there's a shot that's possible to take, he takes it and he takes it hard.
Sypical and Bread very much in style to start this play-in match. Ball centered here very quickly by Aeon, but it will be played away by Sathu and company. This will kick off the corner. Well read by Sathu and feathers it home, and another quick strike from Bread.
Picking up where they left off. Sypical again, that speed, beating out the defender, and then Sathu getting up, getting that read off the tricky part of the corner. Read that perfectly and just puts it on target. Compadres now will see how they bounce back. That mentally draining game number one, now giving up an early goal in game number two. And Moses, he was that hero for them in game one. They fell short, but Moses answers back here in game two.
Yeah, he actually gets bumped there at midfield, still able to recover because he was only grazed. And of course, Bread not in position. Moses takes a gift and a 1-1 game here in game two. Again, very important for Compadres to answer. Sypical to start things off for Bread. He's going to leave it for Sathu, and this really has been a very selfless team here in Bread. A lot of chances to just take kind of bad shots, and they've opted for passes instead, and it's worked wonders for them.
And that really is a trademark of a quality team. We saw it in the Splice series. Even though that series was really close, we saw them taking advantage of those infield passing plays and lateral movement. The best teams you see do that, and really Bread, they've just been so quick looking for one another. It's been fun to watch them in game one. We'll see if they keep it up in game two.
Of course, we've talked a lot about Sathu and Sypical. There is a third guy on this team, the former Dude in AXB. He's had plenty of competitive experience as well. Remember, he was able to participate in DreamHack Leipzig, as that's going to be kicked away out of the corner, and was part of the winning team alongside Ralph in the World Gaming Canadian Challenge. So a lot of high stakes action for AXB coming in, but it's Astro who scores here. Just another feather touch there with the tires.
Yeah, this was a mistake there. AXB accidentally bumping into Sathu in net. That puts Sathu out of position and AXB out of position. So a rough defensive play by AXB, and that's going to cost Bread.
So Bread find themselves trailing. They only trailed for a little while in that first game. And another ball sent away from the front of the net by Aeon. Now Sypical will try again. What does he have in his bag of tricks? Not a whole lot there. Just keeps the ball from being cleared downfield. This one goes through Moses. A full tank of boost for Sypical after he steals the Compadres back boost. Any attack coming on for Bread? No, AXB just undercutting, look like Astro there, actually Aeon. And at least stalls the attack for the Compadres a little bit, but really feels like after that last goal, nobody's really taken the upper hand until maybe now as Astro almost forces one through.
Well, you mentioned that touch from AXB. That was actually what is allowing Compadres to keep this extended attack. Fortunately for Bread, it didn't cost them, and we might see a play here. Oh, so close.
Astro will clean up the mess, and it's Aeon now. His shot blocked by Sypical. And more importantly, able to find AXB on his way back but they can't get downfield. They hit that center line, and the ball comes right back in, this time courtesy of Aon. He'll try to go over AXB, but he got a little help from Sipical as well. Another shot from Moses, that's wide, and an important clear from Sathyew.
Yeah, that touch from Sathyew denied the follow-up from Astro, a key touch of what surely would have been a goal, and that one bouncing very close to being in, but we've seen some chances for Compadres. There was a passing opportunity earlier in net, or a passing opportunity in front of that they did not take advantage of, so we haven't seen the lateral movement coming out from Compadres.
So far, we have seen 6 teams today that you would think they could absolutely hang in the rival series. We've sent 2 through already. Bread, 1 step closer, but trailing in game 2. Now Aon around the boards. Sathyew didn't get it clear, and Astro will clean up the mess.
Yes, this was all on Sathyew's shoulders. He had to make this save here. Just had a little bit of a rough takeoff. He also air rolled, hit it with the bottom part of his car, so it just didn't go that far. And then the capitalization off of that mistake. Compadres rolling in, taking control of game 2.
Sipical coming on. Boy, we've seen him up very quickly on these kickoffs. Not able to convert this time. Bread find themselves facing their biggest deficit of the series. And Sathyew gets knocked away from the ball here. Is it enough to stall the attack? Not really. Aon not able to play one away from AXB. Sipical is lurking, but Astro gets a very key clear. Sathyew now, that'll angle downward, and Moses. Good positioning defensively for the Compadres as they fend off another attack. It's Astro now for Aon. Big booming shot that Sathyew sends to the corner. And again, Bread find themselves on the back foot, trailing by 2. Final minute. Not able to get themselves in closeout position unless they come back, and Sathyew's leading the charge.
You know, we talk about Sathyew flicks. This is a move that he invented. Didn't need to use it here, but still some good one-on-one play. Astro coming off the backboard, so close to making that save, but Sathyew gets his second of the game, putting Bread within 1.
When you've got a player that's got the wide repertoire of attacks that Sathyew has, you have to be on your toes. You just have to guess at some point. They guessed wrong, but it's still a lead for the Compadres. Sathyew's at a boost. He may have a play on this anyways. Everybody misses. Sipical gonna take the shot himself with AXB waiting on ground level. That may cost them as this goes back the other way.
AXB was positioned for that pass, but that pass never came. It could have been a different story had Sipical found him.
And the final seconds will tick away. They need to keep this ball in the air, and they will not. And the Compadres have tied up this series. And again, we have not seen a 2-0 series lead yet. That's how evenly matched all of these teams are.
And an incredible bounce back from Compadres. We saw that overtime game last game. Compadres fell, but they still battled back to even tie it up to force overtime in those final seconds. And this game, taking the lead and holding it, looking very good. And then we also just saw some defensive mistakes and some inconsistencies on the side of Bread. We saw that scoring opportunity late where AXB was waiting in the middle for that pass that never came. We saw Sathyew, had he gotten that save when he was last in net, it might have been a different story for Bread. But Compadres, they're not giving them any room. As soon as Bread makes a mistake, Compadres are there to make them pay.
Yeah, 13 shots for the Compadres. You're going to win a lot of games when you have double-digit shots on goal. They just were peppering the net with shot after shot after shot, and just Bread could not keep up. Bread did get back into that game. Keep that in mind. It's not like they were blown out of the arena at all, but it did feel like they were outplayed for the vast majority of that game.
And, you know, it also just felt like they weren't jiving as a team. We saw it multiple times where there's opportunities to go for passing plays. They didn't, but you know, that's what's really going to separate teams at this level, is being able to, in those situations where you're on the counterattack, maybe it's a 2v1 situation, knowing where your teammate is. You have an option play at that point, whether you go for the solo play or you go for the pass. We'll see how Bread reacts, but Compadres coming in as the lower seed, looking to make that upset happen.
Another 5 minutes on the clock, and Moses with a big challenge that's thrown everybody for a loop, and the leader of the Compadres strikes again.
And Moses
He was making a solo play happen all by himself last game for the first goal for Compadres. He does it again. He is definitely the leader of this mariachi band.
5 seconds is all it takes for the Compadres to threaten to take a series lead. We have not seen an upset on the stream so far. The higher seed has won both matches. Aon will try to start the counterattack again, and he's got a great challenge over Sathyew. So Sypical has to stay back and play a little more patient game. That's teed up by Moses, and Astro will continue the assault for the Compadres. Now Sathyew. That's going to be intercepted by somebody beginning with A. It's going to be Astro. Sypical half flip that did not work out, and Astro scores again.
Astro getting a freebie really here, catching Sypical out. Sypical didn't hit his half flip. That was a key moment. He had to hit that half flip to be able to maybe tap that ball off to the side. Sypical got caught out, failed to execute. Now 2 goals for Compadres.
Contrary to what someone like Shogun might say, learning how to half flip, it is a valuable skill. It failed Sypical there. And now the 2-0 lead for the Compadres. Here's Moses, who's been absolutely lethal for the Compadres so far. And Astro coming on as well. AXB jumping in front of him. Sathyew for AXB. That's blocked by Aon. Great defense from the Compadres, not letting Bread even sniff the goal.
Yeah, but that was a good idea from Bread. Those are the types of plays that they need in order to beat this Compadres defense. Aon was just very quick to the ball right now, but Bread starting to make those looks.
Astro with a slow play, and Sypical read him like a book, able to make the stop. And now Moses, he'll take his time, and AXB, who was geared up for a ball coming his way, instead has to turn away. And he really has to turn away. It's all the way back to the orange net for AXB. And all the way back to the orange net for the entirety of Bread. Here's Sypical on the counter. Needs to get one in front, but he gets spun out by Aon. Again, well done using physical defense this time for the Compadres. And they're going to have another counterattack starting with Moses. That backboard defense from Sypical, it's enough to play, quality offense like Sypical has. He's shot from various different angles, really put on a show in that first game. There's a shot from AXB is blocked away, but it's on the defensive end. I think that's where they're starting to challenge Sypical a little bit, and it's working out.
Yeah, but Sathyew, he had a chance there. He had an option to go for the double tap or go for the pass, opted to go for the pass, and it was sniffed out so quickly by the Compadres defense. They have been getting to every single ball, and look at that one, that dunk, extending their lead. Compadres controlling this match.
Sometimes it's all about timing, and Aon times this perfectly. Nobody able to get back. Sathyew just a little slow. Sometimes,
and, AXB, he failed to flick it. He tried to flip forward to pop that up, didn't execute, and that really cost Bread.
And now we're into the second half of Game 3, and a chance for Compadres to close this out and go to within 1 win of making Season 3 of the Rival Series, and they will have knocked out the #1 seed in doing so. Great pass over to Aon. AXB interfering just enough to throw the shot off. And now Astro, his shot's going to be well wide, but demo after demo coming out for the Compadres leads to that shot from Moses.
And Moses, he has been the guy for Compadres in Game 1 and Game 2. This one, he just cuts off the clear attempt from AXB. He read AXB like a book. And now 4 goals, less than 2 minutes left. Compadres are running away with this one.
Quality challenges from Compadres, and I don't think Bread knows what have hit them yet. Sathyew has to turn on this. Instead, it's Sypical who comes up to take the shot, but you can already see there's indecisiveness now on the part of Bread, and nobody really knows if they're the one who should take over or not. Sypical will clear this downfield, but it's not a quality attack at all. It needs to turn into one, otherwise they're going to be down in the series. Sypical looking to center one here. It's a good pass, but well read by Astro. And again, the defensive efforts of the underdog Compadres. They're the #9 seed in this tournament, looking to really take the fight to #1 as they have. Moses a little further back than you would like, but hey, they've got a 4-0 lead. He doesn't need to be up fully pressuring on offense. They've done more than enough to take game 3.
And they've really shut down Sypical. Sathu
what a
also a
shot.
non-factor, but Sypical finally getting involved. So, I mean, for the mentality, it's definitely good to avoid the shutout. This one, a very good passing play, AXB to Sypical, but this game is likely going to be a little too far out of reach, but that is the type of play that Brett needs to make early in the game. Right now, it's going to be very tough for them to even come close.
We've seen Sypical cheating up on every kickoff. That shot has to be on target. They get bailed out by Sathu and hold the phone. Brett are fighting their way back into this game.
It seemed like AXB was going to finish that one off, hitting the backboard every single time. Sathu just putting a soft shot under Astro. And maybe I did speak too soon, Sax, but we'll have to see a goal very quickly after the kickoff. And Brett stands a chance.
Ball going the wrong way right now for Brett. Moses coming on the weak side, but it's blocked away by AXB. Counterattack opportunity, but Astro is back, and the compadres can now breathe a sigh of relief. They've stopped the momentum from Brett at 2 goals, and now they can try to hold on for this final 20 seconds, maybe even add one more for good measure. Here's Sypical. Needs to get this going for Brett very quickly. Ball in front, and it is pinched actually off of Sypical, back the other way, and that should just about do it as the final countdown goes on. And nobody would have expected this #1 seed that really they are the consensus pick to make their way into the rival series. They're on the ropes because Moses and the compadres have taken the fight right to them.
You absolutely said it. Moses, 2 goals, 1 assist, only had 3 shots that he took in the game, scored 2 of them. Moses getting those early goals. We saw him now in back-to-back games getting very early goals, almost off the kickoff, and that has been such a big factor in the compadres' wins. Now they are just 1 game away from upsetting the #1 seed and securing their spot in the rival series. Stacks, I guess the desk might be wrong, but we still have 1 more game at least.
Exactly. There is still 1 more game to be played, and we have seen some crazy things happen over the past several seasons of the RLCS and the rival series. It would not surprise me at all to see Brett recover. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 1-0 game, even though you wouldn't think it's possible with this much offensive firepower on the field.
But, I mean, you know what's missing is the Sypical magic. We saw Sypical really step up in that first game, and maybe he got a little too far ahead of himself because he has been struggling a little bit. We also saw AXB. He wasn't able to make plays when he needed to, missing that flick that allowed that dunk goal to happen. And then Sathu, I mean, he was sitting at 30 points for a very long time. You guys couldn't see it on stream, but I was tabbing, and Sathu was just having trouble getting involved as well. So Compadres has done an excellent job at minimizing the impact of Sypical, but we even had a very brief look at the danger that Sypical does provide. The pass from AXB over to Sypical on one of the few goals that Brett did score was a very well executed shot. And now we also saw Brett, Sathu, he had a few chances to maybe go for some solo plays, and he opted to go for the passing, which is good. You expect to see a lot of lateral plays, but it was so telegraphed that Compadres didn't fall for it, and they were able to quickly shut those plays down.
Yeah, now the challenge, of course, for Brett is to overcome the odds because it hasn't looked very good for the teams that go down 2-1 so far today. As we go to recap some of the action we've had from earlier today, it has been a very exciting day so far in the rival series play-in. We've already taken 2 teams into the rival series. One of them, of course, Manhattan, making the trip back to the rival series on the back of T-Man, who was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to watch T-Man again. We're both from the Bay Area. I know how tough it can be playing in competitions out on the West Coast, but T-Man was just a monster. Him and Ajax on the attacking half were just spectacular. It was something else to watch those guys. They were in the RS last season. They're in the rival series yet again. So I'm pumped to watch those guys play. I last season thought that they were going to be a force. I was surprised when they didn't finish top 4. But again, these guys proved that they belong in the rival series. They're a force to be reckoned with. We'll get to see them again.
Yeah, and of course that touch right there, I think that really kind of sealed the deal too for Manhattan. That was the point where the Peeps realized that, man, this is going to be almost impossible to overcome. And of course, as you can see, the Magicians and Applesauce already retaining their spots from previous seasons. Manhattan and Splice have qualified again today. And now Compadres 1 win away from joining that list.
Yeah, we've had a special day here for the North America Rival Series play-in, 6 spots, which we may not see happen again. Very unique situation with CLG disbanding. And also...
Right, it was the Dignitas team from last season. Right.
Ex-Dignitas. So now, they were previously Applesauce, so it gets really confusing.
Right.
But now we have 4 teams locked in, the 5th team about to get locked in. We're on the brink of an upset. Compadres led by ex-RLCS veteran Moses. He has been playing lights out, and he tries to continue that streak here where they are just 1 away.
Full disclosure, I have never seen a match where I go, wow, Moses really popped off. You've never seen him take over a match like he has here today with the Rival Series qualification on the line. He deserves a ton of credit, but they're not able to get back here, and it's Sypical starting this game off just like he started the series.
Yeah, and we're talking about the magic that was missing again. AXB finding Sypical at the midfield. We saw him do exactly that in the last game that Bread lost, but this one allows him to strike first. AXB with a phenomenal pass, and Sypical with the finish.
It's Aeon to just slow this down, try to force his way through AXB, but the entire defensive Bread is there for reinforcements, but everybody's missed here, and a chance for Astro. Off the backboard, Aeon's there, he misses high. Moses was up too far as well and could not get a powerful shot on. Missed opportunity for the Compadres, that could be costly.
Aeon will want that back. He had a wide open net to deal with, just missed high. And when you're just 1 game away from getting through to the Rival Series, you cannot miss open nets. We'll see how that affects Compadres as this game develops.
Astro in front, there for Moses. But he's blocked by Sathu. Really the 2 most experienced competitive players dueling there in midair. This will kick out for Moses to send downfield. He may not have got the touch he was looking for. Astro's trying to make the most of it, and the shot's gonna fall just wide. Now Sypical looking for AXB. He found him, and look out, it's an own goal.
Moses tried to push this wide. He was racing back. He didn't want a 1v1 opportunity for AXB, but accidentally helps him out. Astro was frozen in net like a deer in the headlights as he has to watch in horror as Moses puts in that own goal.
And Moses will just play this through to Sathu. Good kickoff for Bread. Sathu not able to get that down through Aeon, but a 2-0 lead for Bread, facing relegation to the lower bracket, instead trying to force Game 5. Sypical gives up the corner boost. Has quite a bit to work with, but not anymore. Can he get one centered anyways? Yes, he can. Then AXB was lurking, if not for the defensive efforts of Aeon. Down to the 3-minute mark. Bread have come out firing on all cylinders, and another banger this time from AXB.
Sypical and AXB, they have been just scoping each other out for the passes. AXB waiting there in the middle. A wonderful passing play from Sypical and the finish from AXB. These guys finally starting to hit their stride. Sypical and AXB have been the offensive factor for Bread.
Sypical had to take the kickoff this time, so it's Sathu who's able to cheat up. Go way upstairs for that ball, but came up empty. So now Sypical, oh, he's feeling it, twisting through. He got the reset off the ceiling as well, but it's cleared away by Astro. Not able to stop this though. AXB scores yet again. He's got a hat trick.
AXB, he's been looking to make the passing plays happen, but this game showing us how to shoot. Air rolling so we can get maximum power on the front flip shot. And now 4 goals without even half the game gone. Bread are tearing up Compadres.
This will go to the ceiling for Sypical. Boy, he feels really comfortable up there. Aeon, double touch, just wide, and Astro, all he can do is dump it off to the side, and here comes Bread yet again. Sypical thought about it, but instead he goes for that midfield boost, and he's still on the attack. Just absolutely dominant right now from the #1 seed. Trying to stave off the end of this match, but everybody's missed here. And the caster's curse rings true. Astro finally gets the compadres on the board.
Sathu should have just stayed down right there. He hesitated when AXB went up for it. He knew AXB was nowhere close, and Sathu, that hesitation cost him. He was the last back, and when he missed, it was a wide open net, a breakaway opportunity, and Astro will not miss a net that is that wide open.
We saw Bread start to mount a comeback when they were down 4-0. Can the compadres do the same? Aeon looking for Moses. Quick turnaround. Aeon and Moses both in the area, and the ball's kicked away by AXB. Everybody misses there. Kind of dual mind games. Now Sathu, one-on-one with Astro, who can't get back in time, and the lead is back to 4.
Yeah, he got this goal basically when he was able to beat out Moses right there. Moses tried to come in and interfere, but it was a beautiful first touch by Sathu. That gave him a lot of time, and Astro was just late to the play. And now 5-1, Bread surely have locked this one in.
90 seconds remain. Astro's shot goes just high. And yes, time is certainly not on the side of the compadres here, especially if they let in another one, and now a Brazil is on the horizon.
You said it, and if you're a new viewer and wondering what he's talking about, 7-1, just like the World Cup matchup, Germany versus Brazil, the 7-1 became very popular in Rocket League. I think you even spell it with a 7 and a 1. I'm sure Twitch chat is ready and standing by in case Brett puts one more in.
Sathu looking to get one more touch, but he just overshot that ball. And really, that is the only drama at this point, at least as far as Game 4 is concerned. Will it be 7-1? And will the compadres be able to recover after all of this? You know, there are two schools of thought, of course. You know, there's the idea that if a team has maybe mailed it in, I mean, let's face it, I don't think you're seeing compadres' best shot now that they're down 6-1. Maybe you start to develop some kind of bad habits if you're Bread. The other side of that being you just let this game go as long as you possibly can and maybe demoralize the compadres.
I mean, if you get Brazil, that is definitely embarrassing. You know that Bread is not going to relent. They know they've got the win, but if they can get that extra factor, it could help them out on the mental aspect, and there's such a big mental aspect of Rocket League. Many of these players almost on par with the mechanics, but it's the mental game that separates good players from the best.
One final clear attempt from Moses. He was not able to make contact. That's been the story of this game, and one that the compadres would love to forget. Bread are not done just yet. We are going to Game 5 yet again.
We saw it with the Splice series, and we're seeing it here yet again. Bread going up against compadres. This Game 4 absolutely lopsided, 6-1. Compadres couldn't get anything going. Moses with only 100 points to his name, 4 shots, no goals, no assists, no saves, nothing. So it was a rough game for Moses, who has really been the difference maker for compadres in the games that they won.
For the second time in a row, we go to Champions Field for a 5th and decisive game, this time between the compadres and Bread. Again, the number 9 seed missing an opportunity to close out number 1, and now you have to imagine the pressure is all on the shoulders of the compadres.
And just pay attention to how this game starts out, especially for compadres. They need that first goal. They need to get that first goal on the board. Otherwise, a game where you just got blown out 6-1, you let in that first goal, it can start to tear at you. So if compadres can stabilize quickly, get that first goal like we've seen Moses do in multiple games, then we might see this upset happen. But compadres, they're on the ropes right now, and Bread has a chance to put them down.
We've talked again so much about Sathu, so much about Sypical. It was AXB who had a hat trick
Oh, yes.
in Game 4 to keep Bread alive. That really has been the story, I think, of Bread throughout this tournament and throughout this entire offseason. It's a different person every game, and that is what the compadres have to contend with as we start game number 5.
Oh. And that was my mistake. We'll get back into the game. Accidentally pressed auto there, Stacks. Definitely don't want to do that.
No.
That was my bad.
James Bott trying to relive the glory days back when he was actually a professional player.
I'm just trying to make it into the rival series. You can't blame me.
Man, we only let the good players into the rival series. I hate to tell you. So,
Hey, ouch, that hurts. Well, when you make a clutch key mistake like that, maybe I don't belong competing.
Dexterity
we'll
is
get
a
that
skill.
Re-rolled.
Yeah,
We'll re-roll that one.
dexterity is a skill that is tested in the
you
rival
can't
series.
trust me with the keyboard. Someone
No,
else
of
is
course
just going to
not.
have to come in here.
Do I need to handle all
I'm never
going to
I'm never going to be able to live this down too.
No, you're not.
Corelli's in the back having a field day.
Oh, I think I
Goodness.
can hear him right now. Just whew,
Misplay.
boy.
But
Dinner later
just
tonight's going to be fantastic.
Just trying to add to the suspense, just making everybody wait a little bit longer for this important, critical Game 5. I hope that doesn't affect
that would be the spectate button. Well done.
There we go.
Well done.
That. Thank you.
Everybody, round of applause for James Bott as we will get into Game 5.1 now between Bread and the compadres. Yeah, that kickoff goal, wipe it off the board as Sathu wins this kickoff cleanly, and it will be saved by Astro. So no kickoff goal to start things off. A clean slate in Game 5.
We'll see if compadres again can strike early. A 6-1 blowout, and that's not what you need coming off the back wall. This should have been an easy save. Sathu putting one, it bounced off the ceiling. Astro, I don't even know what happened to him. That's such a routine save, and he completely misses on it. Perhaps the nerves knowing that this game is the decider was just too much for him, but he'll wish he had that one back.
I'll bet if they had a fourth car in the field like they had a moment ago, they would have made that save. This will drop down. Aeon, what a touch, but not able to fool the defense, or at least not able to get that ball through, and nobody else coming on to finish that play. And the compadres, they have left a few goals on the table, and that one may haunt them. Moses, oh, that's a double commit. Sathu, easy angle, and AXB will steal it.
AXB picking up where he left off. He had the hat trick last game. We see the double commit there by Aeon and Moses. Moses actually looked like he blasted Aeon into outer space. AXB with a wide open net. And Bread, after that 6-1, now up 2-0. A scoring spree for them.
Again, that blowout in Game 4 with Bread looking at the lower bracket. They have picked up exactly where they left off, and the compadres yet to recover. Moses, quick turnaround. He's skied one up to the backboard. Astro keeps this in, and Sathu's just going to drop it off to the corner. Aeon not under the bar, and Sathu clears this away as well. Working overtime for Bread, trying to put number 1 into the rival series. AXB to the backboard, nobody turns, and Astro has it away, but only as far as Sathu, and it's right back into the net.
And another communication error. Astro and Moses both going for this. Astro didn't get the greatest clear. Moses way out of position after the double commit, and Sathu has a bunch of net to shoot on, doesn't miss that one, and now 3 goals. We're less than a minute and a half into this final Game 5, and Bread proving that they deserve that number 1 seed.
A statistical oddity there before that shot from AXB. Only 2 players had shots. Now everybody's getting in on the action, and Sipical extends the lead.
And Astro made a heroic save there, but Sipical was ready to clean up the rebound. Bread, they are on fire right now.
The compadres watching the rival series slip away from them. They may have to go to the lower bracket unless they start a run of their own, and Astros trying to lead the charge.
And that's a perfect goal for them. That's exactly what you want, a kickoff goal. Barely any time melted off the clock. You already get one back. 3 goals now separate them. Plenty of time left in this game, but we'll need to see compadres get another one very soon.
It is Aeon to have that one kicked towards the orange net, but AXB is there. Bread still capable of playing defense, so they haven't had to in a while. Now Sypical, wide turnaround to find the angle here, and Aeon well defended. But again, the pressure remains from Sathyew and Bread as these teams just go back and forth, but mostly into the blue zone. Sypical's got his second as well.
And now AXB gets that playmaker medal. That shot was deadly, barely misses, but Sypical again on the rebound. That's his second rebound goal, just like a shark waiting for that ball to pop out. And Bread, they said, you know what, we came up short on the Brazil last game. Let's make it happen this one.
Well, they've got plenty of time to get there. They could get a lot more than 7 goals if this keeps up. AXB not able to stop Moses. Astro's shot goes way off to the corner, and the compadres right now, they are just looking for anything to go their way. Just a ball that kicks in front of the other net. Instead, it's Sathyew, death from above, and a 6-1 lead.
Hat trick for Sathyew, and now 4 assists for AXB. Astro again in net. Poor Astro, he's been in net when these goals have been coming in, but Sathyew just blasted that one high. There was no chance for Astro. He would have had to pre-jump it to have any hope. But again, a kickoff goal that ruins the hopes of the Brazil. But now, trying to give some hope for this Compadres team. The kickoff goal is very key, but still 4 goals, just half the game left, Stacks. This is a tall order for Compadres.
Hey, the sooner the better, and it doesn't get any sooner than that for the Compadres. They get a very quick answer, something that, again, they desperately needed against this Bread team, because Bread was threatening to run away with that series, or run away with that 5th game. And if they didn't get that goal there, who knows? We could be looking at 7-1, 8-1, 9. We could have seen double digits from Bread.
I mean, we still might. It's 2 minutes 29 left on the clock. We're going to have to go to a pause right now and get the server restarted. I might have kicked an Ethernet cable.
Oh,
it was probably my fault again. But
This guy.
But Bread, they just picked up right where they left off in that game. They've been coming in here just putting shot after shot on target, causing chaos on the back line for Compadres. We've seen multiple double commits, just defensive chaos. And then Sypical, he has just been waiting around the net, ready to finish those goals off. Sathyew also on point with his shots. AXB, after scoring a boatload of goals last game, now playing playmaker, getting several assists. I think 4 assists so far in this game. So it has been a great performance from Bread, and now they're just 2.5 minutes away from finishing their impressive rival series run, securing their spot in season 6.
Yeah, we do know that, hey, we will see new faces in the rival series after this series, because we've already seen 2 teams that already qualified from previous seasons qualifying in our previous matches today. Again, an action-packed afternoon so far here in the rival series as we look back at some of the highlights from this series so far, rather the previous series, with Splyce able to punch their ticket into the rival series, making their way back after a disappointing trip last time around.
Yeah, so this is actually some recapping done from the previous series, despite what the scoreboard says. Splyce going all the way to a Game 5. We saw that was a nail-biting series, going all the way to Game 5, a much closer series than this one. Bread now looking like they're pulling away, but Splyce, it was great to see them come out and really, firing on all cylinders. We saw some incredible plays by everybody. Karma, obviously, the MVP from that game, but we saw Nose Dude, I almost called him Trevor, that's his real name, but Nose Dude hit that really important shot off the crossbar. That was a very good shot from him. And then J-Wiz, that dribble play from him where he had no boost at all, was still able to get that ball, pop it up for Karma in the middle. And then all of the lateral passing plays, like I had mentioned before. Splyce looked very polished. They dropped those 2 games, but still they were clearly the better team in that matchup. And now we're getting to see Bread, who it surely seems like they're at this point going to be facing off against Splyce once the season begins.
Yeah, and of course for Splyce and Manhattan, they have something that the other teams don't really have. They have the experience of their entire starting roster staying together, and they come back at it again, while all of these other teams, they would have kind of been part of that roster shuffle from Season 2 to Season 3 of the rival series trying to play their way back in, new faces and new places. So you have to imagine the team chemistry for a team like Splice and Manhattan, they can't go 2-5 again.
I love watching teams that don't give up and make another run. It kind of reminds me of Selfless back in the day, where Season 2, they failed spectacularly. And then, Selfless stays with them, and lo and behold, Selfless becomes a world championship team. So hope to see the same out of Manhattan and Splice. Want to see them finish at least in the top 4, maybe make that push to get into the promotion tournament. But we will have a whole season before we get to see that. But now we're going to try to get back into this game. Again, 2 minutes and 29 seconds left on the clock. Bread has been absolutely destroying it, 6-2. So now Compadres, we'll see if this helps them at all. They've had some time to maybe get a breather, but they'll have to score very quick if they want any hopes of pulling this game back.
And just to let you all know what's going on, the game has been restarted at the 2:29 mark. Scoreline still 6-2, just like nothing had actually happened. Right after that kickoff goal scored by the Compadres, a big momentum shift in their favor, but you have to wonder now, will that still transfer over after the delay? It's going to be Aeon waiting for Sathu, and Sypical's shot stopped by Astro as we restart here. And again, the Compadres facing relegation to the lower bracket unless they've got a miraculous comeback ahead of them. This goes through everyone except AXB at the end.
AXB, clutch save from him right there. That ball bouncing through. And another good challenge from Sathu. The back line of Bread holding strong in these final minutes.
Astro using all of his boost just to get that last touch to stop Bread from taking over possession. And now AXB, he'll just kick that back to Sathu and eat a demo from Moses for his efforts. Down to 1:30. Time certainly not on the side of the Compadres. It's Astro, not able to win this challenge. Nor is Moses, as that ball just skies up away from the net. Aeon will kick one in front. Moses can get onto this, and Sypical is right there to slam the door.
Sypical, he read that shot. He knew Moses was coming in. He was just racing to block off that angle. And it was a well-timed block indeed as he pushed that shot wide.
Final minute as AXB gets the demo on Astro. Again, sometimes things just go your way. Moses getting some payback on AXB, but the shot going well wide, and time is just about run out for the Compadres. They're going to need kickoff goals galore here. They got to start with a normal goal, and they don't get one as Aeon overshoots the pass.
30 seconds left on the clock.
Great performance by Bread. They really had their backs against the wall, James. From Game 3 onward, they had to win Game 4. They came out and passed that test with flying colors, and they picked up right where they left off in Game 5. And they really never let Compadres feel like they even had a chance outside of that kickoff goal, and that was very short-lived.
Yeah, they shut Moses out. We'll see a charity goal here now as Aeon scores with 4 seconds left on the clock. But Stacks, AXB stepped up in Games 4 and 5 for Bread. He struggled, I thought, in the last game that they dropped in Game 3. And then AXB out of nowhere comes in, scoring goal after goal after goal. Him and Sypical working so well together. And then this game, assist after assist after assist. So a step-up performance by everybody. Sypical really showing us how to do it.
Been too long on the road, but Bread finally does close it out in Game 5.